This program is brought to you by the Reeves Law Firm, www.reevesfirm.com.
In the know. Good evening, everyone. In the know. Tony Reeves, fire. Following the news in any way, shape, or form. No shortage of things to talk about. What does it mean? What will it bring? Is this a reality we simply have to accept? Tony Reeves, fire. Tony Reeves. Let's go ahead and get started.
Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Q&A Social Security Disability Today. I am your host, Attorney Anthony Reeves, and let's talk about what I call the great scavenger hunt. Does your doctor's notes truly support your disability case? All right. First of all, let's start off with, for those of you who are not familiar with how doctor's notes are typically set up, and I know every doctor is a little different, but here's pretty much how they flow out. They typically use what we call the S.O.A.P method. And what do you mean by the S.O.A.P method? Well, the S.O.A.P method is basically an acronym that stands for different portions of the notes. S stands for subjective. Those are your complaints, so the things or the reason why you're there before the doctor. O is the objective findings. Those are those findings that have nothing to do with, your subjective feelings or beliefs. It's typically the results of any specific examinations or any testing or any lab work. A stands for analysis or the assessment, meaning what exactly is the doctor thinking your condition is. And P is what is the plan of attack. So what do they plan to do to help you feel better? So those are the four areas that you think about. For your purposes, probably the most important aspect of those notes are the O portion. Now, let's kind of see, it's called the objective section. Well, what does that mean? How does that play out? So let's think of it like this. S, you come into the doctor because your back hurts. O, objective testing. The doctor sends you out for an MRI or an X-ray. The MRI reveals bulging in your neck, bulges in your lower back. Okay. A, the assessment may be low back pain or sciatica, depending on the situation, or low back strain or sprain. Usually be low back pain with bulging of the disc in the lower back. P is the plan of attack, meaning putting you on medication, for referring you to a physical therapist, referring you for epidural shots, things of that nature. But the biggest thing for purposes of Social Security, I always tell people is the objective portion. Why is that so important? Because the objective portion is something that stands on its own regardless of the impression of a particular person. So let's think of it like this. If you're driving a car and you're saying, oh my gosh, my car is running out of gas, it's almost out of gas. Well, objectively, what's the objective evidence? Well, how much gas do you actually have in your car? If you have a quarter of a tank of gas in your car, you may feel like you're running out of gas, but you're not running out of gas. You have gas. You just don't have as much gas as you would like. So the diagnosis may be you have low gas in your car, and the plan is to fill it up. But here, think about the difference between the beginning. At the beginning, your subjective complaint was that you had no gas. The objective findings was that there was gas in your tank, just not as much as you like, and the assessment was low gas, and the plan was to add. I know that's an oversimplification, but it's important for me to use that example to get you to understand how Social Security looks at situations. So what do you mean by that? So guess what? When you go in and you say, I have a bad back and I can hardly stand, and I can hardly walk or do anything, and then they do objective testing, examination reveals that you have a full range of motion. That's typically meaning your ability to sit, stand, bend over, lift your leg, lift your arms, and so forth like that. If you're able to still do those things, regardless of the pain that you experience, doctor may give you a full range of motion. Doctor sends you for X-rays and MRIs. X-rays and the MRI reveals, mild bulging and so forth. And then the assessment ultimately is low back pain. So guess what? When they're looking at your file and they look at the objective and they're like, wait a minute, you can still stand, bend, squat, kneel, stoop. You've got full range of motion of your arms and your legs. And the X-rays reveal that you have, or MRIs reveal that you have mild bulges and so forth. Social Security is going to look at, they're going to say, okay, how is it in one breath you're basically saying that you got this debilitating back problem, but the objective evidence, the range of motion, the X-rays and MRIs reveals something completely different. And that's where people sometimes get caught when they're like, I don't understand. My doctor says I'm in a bad shape, but then the records say something completely different. Now, so that's the objective portion. Now, here's where I always tell people, does your doctor support your condition? This is where it becomes tricky. I'm not asking you if he likes you or if she likes you. I'm not asking you if she's saying, I got your back. I'm asking, does the medical evidence that the doctor is documenting to your file support your condition? Well, what do you mean? Okay, I'm still a little concerned about that, Attorney Reeves. Well, guess what? If you're saying your back is so debilitating, has the doctor sent you for an x-ray? Well, no. MRI? No. Physical therapy? No. Any referrals? No. Specialists? No. Any shots? No. Any surgeries? No. So what's the doctor doing for you? Well, they basically just giving you other kind of medication. So the doctor's documentation is not necessarily a supporter to your case. And see, a lot of times what people think when you say, does the doctor support you, they think that means the doctor is the doctor in your camp to help you get disability benefits. That's not what we're asking. What we're asking ultimately is that is the evidence that the doctor has in the case supportive towards helping you prove that your condition is disabling as you say it is. So that's the question you have to ask yourself. Now, let me tell you where people sometimes get caught. They don't necessarily know. And I don't want to take this the wrong way. When you're talking to your doctor is in the course of dialoguing with you and sharing with you all kind of information. Reality is that a lot of times people, you don't really know whether or not the information is supportive or not until you ask for copies of the medical records. Then you start looking. So then you have to kind of ask yourself this. When you're looking at the medical evidence, you start wondering, wait a minute, doctor is telling me all these things. Here's the other thing you need to ask. If the doctor is telling you that they believe you're disabled or they believe, and here's the kicker, people, it doesn't matter if the doctor says you're disabled. It's what limitations they say you can and can't do. Social Security Administration is tasked with the responsibility of determining whether you're disabled or not. The doctor's responsibility is identifying what specific limitations that you have. There is a difference. So how many of you have found yourself out there talking to your doctor and your doctor's like, oh yeah, I think that you can't do this, this, and this, this. And then all of a sudden, that's nowhere in your medical record. So you need to ask, hey, doc, just out of curiosity, are you putting this in writing for me? You know, you hook me up? Because the reality is that them telling you that is one thing, but if they're not putting it in your medical records, it doesn't really help you there. Now, here's what I call the potential landmine. Knock on wood, people. Knock, knock, knock. The potential landmine is asking your doctor why. Now, when you say, what do you mean by why? Everyone has a relationship with your doctor, and only you can determine if you can do this. Asking your doctor why they're not documenting certain things. So if your doctor is telling you that you have all these limitations, but it's nowhere in your file, ask. Now, keep in mind, and this goes on to my last point, okay? Understand your doctor's role. They are your ally. They are not your friend. They are there to help you feel better. They're not there to help you get disability benefits. They are there to document your medical conditions and make recommendations for improvement to your condition and your way of life. They are not there to help you get slam dunk disability benefits. That's not their role. So you need to understand that role going in. Now, it's important that if you're in a situation where the treatment that they're providing you is not giving you the relief you're looking for or the relief that you're trying to get, that you bring it to their attention so they can document whatever steps they need to take going forward. But it's very important that you understand the role of your doctor. They are not your friend. They're your ally, but they're not your friend. They are there to help you and treat your condition. They're not there to help you get disability benefits. And keep these things in mind for those persons who find yourself getting copies of your records and trying to get an understanding as to why the medical evidence does not necessarily support your disability condition. Again, my name is Attorney Anthony Reeves. As always, it's a pleasure. Look forward to seeing you here again. And this is your Q&A, Social Security Disability Today.